on the right kinds of investments, the investments we make in our businesses, yes, but also in the people, community, and relationships that truly help us thrive. Before we meet our panelists, I want to make a quick moment to remind us where Rising Tide all began. So, Rising Tide Society was born out of loneliness. Back in 2015, our founders recognized a deep need in the creative business world, a need for connection, not competition. Instead of operating in isolation, what would happen if we came together to support one another, share resources, and lift each other up? That idea sparked a movement. From coffee shop meetups to nationwide chapters and global, Rising Tide has grown into a vibrant community that believes we rise by lifting others. And nearly a decade later, that mission still holds true. Yep, we're celebrating 10 years next month, so get excited. Yes, hand claps. It's why we say community over competition, and that's why we are here today. I'm so honored to introduce our panelists who will be sharing their stories and experiences with us. I'm going to pass it over to each of them to quickly share their name, their business, what chapter they're a part of, and how long they've been involved with the Rising Tide Society. So, to start us off, let's go, Caroline.
Hi, everyone. My name's Caroline. I am the CEO at Lawson House, one of the partners with Rising Tide. I've been a member or been a part of Rising Tide since December 2023 and gotten to join as a member in the Chattanooga chapter, now co-lead the Chattanooga chapter as of last October. So very excited to be a part and a member, but also a partner of Rising Tide.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I am one of the leaders of the Rising Tide Tampa Bay in Florida. We are one of the largest chapters in Florida. I'm also the owner of Madness Photography, and one of the co-leaders at something called the Photographers Roundtable, which is local free education, quarterly meetups, that kind of stuff. I joined the Rising Tide, the big Facebook group in 2015, and then our local chapter in 2017 was my first in-person meeting, maybe 2016. And yeah, I'm just very excited to be here. Thanks, guys.
Hey everybody, my name is Kayla Stinnett. I am the owner of Iron City Social, Quake Plus Size, and I run two craft beer centric organizations for females and non-binary humans in craft beer here in Birmingham. I have been a member of the Birmingham, Alabama chapter since 2002, I think, when the lovely Debbie invited me in to do a chat with the local Rising Tides chapter, and I've been hooked ever since. Very excited to be here today and talk to you about my experience in Rising Tide and in small business.
My name is Virginia Brown. I'm the owner of Beret and Brush. I'm a live wedding painter. I found out about Rising Tide in March of 2023 and took over the Hartford chapter this past September. And it's been, we got some cool things happening in this little state.
I love that. Yes, thank you all for those introductions. So let's dive into today's conversation. I've got a handful of questions to guide us, but we'll keep things conversational and story driven. And then we'll have some time at the end for Q&A from our attendees. So if you're watching and have questions, please drop those in the chat. Erin will be checking those. So let's go ahead and get started. This is a question for all of you, and we can go in the same order we just went to make it easy. Let's start with your story. How did you first get connected to Rising Tide Society?
I got first connected with the opportunity of Lawson House is a marketing and branding company. So we got the opportunity to partner with Rising Tide to redo their brand about 2 years ago now, which was such a fun opportunity. And it was just super cool to deep dive the history of Rising Tide and the meaning of Rising Tide and interview quite a few members to really encapsulate what that visual meant to everyone and try to make sure that the tagline community over competition was forefront in the designs and all of these pieces. So we got started with working with them through their branding and just fell in love with the community. And after I got a taste of that, I was like, when can I be a part? And so got the opportunity, like I said, to join the Chattanooga, Tennessee chapter in October when it relaunched, and was so excited to have something close by that I could see it personally, the effects of Rising Tide and just the amazing things that it's brought to the Chattanooga community.
I got connected and part of the Rising Tide because somebody commented in some other Facebook group about the Rising Tide, and I was getting ready to relocate from North Carolina to Florida, and I had been gone for like 7-8 years. I didn't have community, so I got into the main group and then found out there were small chapters. And then finally, like I had said earlier, I finally got the courage to go to one of my chapters, but it was all because of social media, so it's not all that bad.
Like I mentioned before, I got involved in Rising Tides thanks to Debbie, our chapter leader here in Birmingham. There's two things that I love to talk about: marketing and craft beer. And the meeting that I went to was a marketing talk at a brewery. So, of course, I went. I loved how it was community over competition. I knew a lot of people that were already involved in Rising Tides, so I just started attending meetings, and I've been a faithful member ever since.
So I found about Rising Tide. I started my business in 2022 as a live wedding painter, and there were two that I knew of in around me, but they didn't have the capacity to mentor me. And so I'm like, well, I've got to learn from somebody. What room can I shove myself into? And I had a photographer friend at the time, who specialized in like the geeky introverted weddings, and he had posted a reel about a recent Rising Tide meeting in like March of 2023. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll start putting myself in the room with photographers because although we have a different product, it's the same market. Therefore, there's a lot of like things that I can glean from them. So I started going and just loving that people are just pouring out their wisdom, their experiences, willing to brainstorm with you, connect you, network. Um, and it's just a really awesome community. And then in last summer, the co-leader was stepping down because she was moving to Florida. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I'll step up. And then found out the leader was also stepping down, just a new chapter of his life. And so here I am, right, leading Rising Tide Hartford and loving that Rising Tide. It started with photographers, but it's opened up to creative entrepreneurs. And so my hope is to also have others who are artistically inclined, creatively inclined, and be like, come, come, come. I know you can create, and that's where your gift is. But the business part is hard, and it's a lot of low lows and high highs, and sometimes you need other people in it to say, hey, yeah, that sucked. I've been through it, so keep pushing because your next opportunity is right there. So, yeah, that's how Rising Tide has affected me.
I love that. Thank you. Okay, so I asked what Gia from leader of our San Diego chapter, I asked her what has being part of this community meant for you personally and professionally, and she said it means I always have a coworker. Being a business owner is hard, and knowing that you always have someone you can turn to for support or just to understand what you've been venting about the ups and downs of being a business owner means everything. So that's pretty cool. Caroline, do you have something to share for that? What has being a part of this community meant for you personally and professionally?
I think as a recent new small business owner, it's so great to have people to ask the weird questions too, of like, how did you figure this out? Or how did you navigate this problem with a client or things like that? And even if they aren't in the same industry, a lot of it translates. So it's so nice because you go to your friends or family or things like that, and they don't quite understand it if they haven't run businesses, but being in a group of people who understand all of the weird things that come with running a business, it's so nice to be like, hey, I had this problem today. Like, what are your thoughts on how I should help solve this? Or how do I answer this type of question? So I think it's just the nuances of business, having those people to go to and say, all right, what have you done with this? And just being able to learn alongside each other has been really helpful.
Sweet. And also, Ashley from our Colorado Springs chapter, she said, it's not just about networking, it's about building real relationships with other creatives across different fields. I love having a trusted circle I can refer clients to, and I am so grateful for those connections, often lead back to referrals back to her. It's a generous, collaborative space that's enriched both my personal and professional life. So I love that. Okay, next. Kayla and Maddie. This is coming for you. Y'all can rock, paper, scissors. Who's gonna answer first? Can you share an example of a relationship, partnership, or collaboration that grew from Rising Tide Society and made a lasting impact on your business? Yeah. Looks like Maddie's going first.
Oh, I was like, Kayla, I'm ready. This was a really easy answer for me. So when I was in the middle of the move and I was in the bigger Rising Tide group, I did not know what to wear to a wedding in the summer in Florida without, dying. And lo and behold, another photographer from a South Florida chapter popped in and was like, hey, a romper. And I was like, I love jumpsuits. Tell me more. And not only did we become very close, she became my first real mentor. And she was the first person that believed in me that I could be a better photographer than I was. She was the first person that wasn't afraid to be like, come second shoot with me at a livable wage, and I'll still teach you lighting hands-on, and I'm not worried. And she, I don't think the word is elevated. She saw potential in me that I didn't see in myself. And I had come from the military, which, if anyone has been in the military, they're not that great about like putting you up. They're more better about like lowering you. And so she really believed in me. And I also saw the importance of investing into education, which is something I know we're going to talk about later. So I won't like go into the tangent. But in turn, I gained a best friend out of it. I gained someone who I can travel with, who I can call crying on the phone to, who we can troubleshoot to. I'm literally everything. It's not just about a romper anymore. It's literally about doing life with this person. And as most of us have all said in here, I mean, when we're not meant to be doing this by ourselves, we're meant to have people to give feedback to and from. And I mean, it's really isolating. And I think we all learned going through a pandemic, like isolation does not do good for us. And so having coworkers without having a coworker, no one's going to report you to HR. You just got other people in the community and it's all good. And I think that's a big thing for me, the impact. And it's led me into really valuing education, investing a lot of money every year in education, putting aside, and then now me starting to branch into education that's free for people to learn why it's important. So.
Love that. We're not meant to be alone. All right, Kayla.
I hate to keep on picking on Debbie, but
It's okay.
that's on it. She is honestly the most rich friendship and business relationship that I've gotten from Rising Tides. I mean, shortly after I joined the chapter, I started working with her solely for the photo shoots for my clients. So now she's pretty much the only photographer that I use for my business. When I have to use another photographer, I do, but 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be Debbie. And beyond that professional side of things, not only does she take images or take photos for my clients and for me in my business, but I feel like I can text her and complain about my day and she'll get it. I recently had a little bit of a spat with a client and I knew that I could text Debbie and have a conversation about it and vent. And it's different when you're venting to someone who understands what you're going through. So yeah, She is the most valuable and treasured friendship that I've gotten from Rising Tides, and I'm very thankful for this organization for bringing her into my life.
Hmm. Not me crying over here trying to host a webinar. Thank you, Kayla. Okay, so Caroline, you're in the hot seat. I feel like this is like a game show slash dating show. I'm not really sure, but I'm feeling it, and it's good. This is a big love community. I love it. When you think about investing in your business, whether that's outsourcing, networking, or showing up in person, what's one right investment that's paid off in unexpected ways for you?
I think for me in our business, it's been outsourcing. It's one of the hardest things I feel like you do as a business owner, of being willing to take on that responsibility of paying someone else and having that overhead and finding the right person to trust with the thing you care so dearly about. But I think as you start to slowly let go of that, there's a sense of freedom that comes with that, and knowing that you've set them up for success in every possible way, and that you can continue to lead and shape this person to be a team member, to be a extra hand, and to serve more clients at the end of the day too. So I think outsourcing has been one of those things that is one of the most terrifying jumps you can make as a business owner, but one of the most rewarding as well, because it, like Maddie and Kayla and a lot of you guys have spoke to, is that it can feel really lonely, and having that relationship with that person you're outsourcing, whether it's just a simple contractor or it's a full-time employee. I think that either way, it's someone that you can start to create relationships with and share this passion with and build beyond what you could do on your own.
Love that. Thank you. Love some outsourcing. All right, Virginia, you're up. Why do you believe it's still important, especially today, to make time for in-person connections and community?
Oh, yes. Cause, oh my gosh, I get so excited about this. Because like we have like COVID hurt. It really did hurt as far as our relationships and put us all behind screens. And so now that we're in person, there's this persona, there's this body language, there's this I'm here to show up for you. And it just means so much more when people are in person, and it's a connector. It's um it makes you relatable. It makes you like you're here with me now. Like this is great because we're all on Zoom. But when you are in person with people in your community, in your area, they know exactly like, let's meet at this local coffee shop and chat it out. Let's cry it out. Let's draw it out. Let's whatever. Again, we are not meant to be isolated beings. We are meant to be together. And I realize that I'm saying that as an extrovert, and the introverts are kind of like, maybe not so much, but then you have something to share too, because this world isn't made of just extroverts going out there. The introverts are just as vital to connect with other introverts and to make us really not feel like we're alone in this. Trouble has a really, any kind of struggle, for some reason, our first thing is, I'm the only one going through this. Everyone else has got their crap together. That's not the case at all. We're all
Nope.
fighting some kind of battle, and having someone to say, I'm here, I'm with you, with, coffee cups together to say, keep pushing, keep going. It's yes. So in person if you can.
Yes, I love that. Okay, let's we're gonna keep diving on. This can be Kayla. I'm gonna put you on the spotlight. What's one lesson about community or collaboration you wish you'd learned sooner?
Um, it's really that it's not so much of a competition. You're not competing against the other people. What's that?
Oh, I think. Hold on. Someone's on. Let me mute them real quick. Okay. All right, you're good.
I wish I had learned from the beginning that it's not necessarily a competition against people in your industry, but rather a competition with yourself. A lot of times throughout I guess it's been 7 years now that I've had this business, there are a lot of clients that I've worked with that I should have sent to other people, but I thought I'd rather have them than send them to other people. But at the end of the day,
Mm.
especially within my business and how I frame it, beyond the work that I actually do with the client, it's about the connection that I have with the client, essentially. So what I'm trying to say with that is the fact that there are other firms in Birmingham and within the Rising Tides chapter that do the exact same thing that I do, but the way they do it aligns better with businesses than how I do it. I don't know if that made sense.
No, totally.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what Rising Tide stands for. It's a community over competition thing. Is that I wish I had taken that to heart sooner in my business rather than later.
Absolutely. There's like, as a wedding photographer, I can't shoot 10 weddings in the same city on the same Saturday, but yet here I have 9 other friends I can refer them to. So, yes, it's learning and making sure you have the right fit because your budget's different, your style's different, but having those connections within the Rising Tide group that you can refer them to. Ashley, our leader in Colorado Springs, had a great answer when I asked her this question, so I'm going to read it. One lesson I wish I'd learned sooner is that there's room for all of us. Exactly what Kayla said. In Colorado alone, there are over 45,000 weddings a year, more than enough for me and plenty of other photographers to thrive. I've learned that I'm better because of the photographers around me. Their work inspires me, and when I stop seeing them as competition, I start seeing them as peers and I can grow alongside. I find way more fulfillment. Some of my favorite people are technically my competition, and yet they're also the ones who trust me enough to refer me. And I do the same for them. That's kind of mutual support that feels best to me. So, yes. Did anyone else want to add? I'll let any of my panelists want to add if they want to add to that one. Anybody? We're good? We can move on. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna everyone can answer this, but we'll start with Maddie, Virginia, and then if Kayla and Caroline want to add, they can. What does community over competition look like in real life for you? Maddie, you want to go first?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute it.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like we are like we all have collaboratively already answered that. I think what it ultimately did for me was it lowered my guard down. I came into Florida, came into the Rising Tide, probably with a little bit of pride, maybe not pride, but like, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to share if I was not succeeding or succeeding. I, much like Kayla was saying, like, well, if I don't want to give the client to somebody else, or I'm afraid to, or even just like the same with outsourcing, like you're scared if you give a referral, it's still like your reputation too. But in turn, what it's done is pulled my guard down, especially this last year. I know a few of us are wedding photographers. Like it's a weird year for us. It's a really weird year. And knowing that we're not alone in like a shift in how things are being booked and a shift like in the way we have to communicate with our clients. And a lot of us, especially in our local chapter, we just started doing monthly meetups again in the last 3-ish months. And we're all like brainstorming together. And like we've talked about before, like you can't collaborate or know you're not the only one experiencing this, and some are experiencing it worse and some are experiencing it better. So if I can get any advice from someone on how to do better, or give any advice to someone else to be like, you're not alone, this is what pulled me out of this. Or like one of my mentors even said, like, you're not failing if you have to change, meaning lower your prices, and you're not succeeding if you have to raise your prices. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you're paying attention to what's going on. And the fact is we're still in business, and that's a big thing right now. And I think the Rising Tide has been really helpful with that. And I think it's offered that community for people, especially that we have a couple girls that are pretty introverted in our group, and they feel very safe there. They feel safe to, if they can't say it at the meeting, they still hear it and they can reach out to one of us. There's 3 of us leaders. And we're able to be like, yeah, it's really sucking for me too. Like, here's how I'm managing and navigating. And like, I know for me, I can brainstorm way better for someone else's business than I can myself at times. And
Yep.
And one of my best friends that I'm co-leading with, she's the same way. She's like, oh, why didn't you try this? And I was like, all right, this is why this community's important.
Absolutely. Virginia?
Um, I mean, now in the live wedding painter industry, um, the thing is like, sometimes we get, we'll see things on Facebook and you'll see an artist who might offer live wedding painting at a lower price than you, and then you're wondering if they're setting the standards and all that stuff. And the thing is that there's enough weddings to go around for photographers. There's enough weddings to go around for artists. And the thing is that with artists, no artist paints the same. How you paint a person can be done 1,000 different ways. And so really like opening up to now, if you cannot look at me as competition, but another art maker, how do I get better at this? Where am I spending too much time? Where am I like altering proportions? And even more so when it comes to the guest portraits, if you're asked to do a 300 person painting or wedding, there's no artist who can do 300 people. You're gonna need a team. And now it's a whole other cog in the wheel because you're not only just doing these quick illustrations and passing them, but you've also got to figure out a way, how do I crowd manage? How do I keep count of who I've painted? How do I package this? So, thankfully, the live wedding painter community has been like, yeah, this is how I do this. Or like last month I was in Florida and I reached out to a friend, or she had reached out to me for an event and said like, hey, I'm doing this event for a networking event. We're doing guest portraits. Do you want to come? And I'm like, absolutely. Because this was the first time I had the chance to like get the numbers really quickly of like, okay, draw a pass, and see her process and also figure out how I operate. And all it does is lift each other up. Like it's I get better, she gets better, we all get better. So we're able to then turn around and get a better experience to our clients. That whole rising tide rise all the boats. The better that we collaborate and work on, our little kinks and refine it. It's nothing but good stuff.
Absolutely. Caroline, Maddie, did you want to add? All kind of touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah, I'll jump in too. As Maddie has spoken to her industry and Virginia has spoken to her industry, we do similar partnerships within our marketing industry of saying, all right, certain marketing agencies are really good in certain niches, and then they have clients that have needs beyond those niches. And so we've gotten to partner with different types of agencies to help bring in new clients, to help service new businesses. Kayla, a lot like what you were saying too, is that each person has their respective field in whatever industry it may be, and being able to see that and I think recognize that takes your business 10 steps further, because you're saying, hey, I'm really good at this thing, you're really good at this thing, how can we work together in this process? And we've gotten to do that a lot in our business as well. And I know we're talking a lot about investments and things like that and revenue. And I think it's been one of the biggest drivers of revenue for our business as well, which getting into this, I never would have thought that, of saying other marketing agencies are going to drive our revenue, but it's been one of our biggest revenue drivers and been really helpful to seek out those partnerships and to have those relationships to say, I can ask these questions too. I can build this understanding, because the more industry specific it is, the better, the more they're going to understand, or the better resource they're going to be.
sweet.
I,
All right, I'm gonna ask everyone so y'all can be thinking on it. In one sentence, what does rising tide mean to you? And I'm gonna give you a second because I'm gonna read Gia's answer. And then she said, Gia from our San Diego chapter said, rising tide means always having a place to go, to learn, to connect, to grow, and be understood. So, whoever wants to go first.
I would say it's potential. It's
Mhm.
potential to consider things you never thought you'd consider before and grow in your business in ways you would never consider.
I love it.
I would say for me, it's the place to be honest about business, and that it's not always sunshine and rainbows and the things that we post on social media. It's the place that we get to be open and real and ask the hard questions, or be there for other people during their hard questions. And just an honest community is what comes to mind.
I love that. I got chills a little bit because it's so true. Yep, I love that. Maddie.
I mean, they all kind of said it.
So keep
Like,
saying it.
yeah.
We need people to know.
It really is. At first, I looked at this and I was like, I don't need a sentence. I need one word, and it's just community.
Mhm.
And what that like defined looks like is a safe place,
Mhm.
honest, it's connections, it's not the highlight reel of your life. It's someone to like get down and dirty with you in the mud when it's looking like it's clean outside when it's not. And also to celebrate you when it is clean. Like we want to talk about the good things too. Like we're all talking about what happens when it's difficult, but golly, how good is it when you like don't want to brag on yourself because it's just you, right? You can't just like, you know, we're not all great at
Mhm.
that. And so they're there to be like, yes, you did it. Exactly, Virginia.
Absolutely. Like, yeah, celebrate the highs and the lows. Yeah, together. I feel like that should be a group, like a chapter meeting, like not your highlight reel, and it's just us just like having, some cocktails, mocktails, and just, you know,
Well, I know like
sharing.
yeah, here in Hartford, like I've started to incorporate something where at the end of the meeting, I very much ask like, "Hey, where's everybody at? Like what
Mhm.
obstacles are you going through?" To again, not make it look like you're coming to a group of business people who all have their crap together. We can only help your business grow by understanding what obstacles you've been through. And then we can be like, "Oh, I have an idea," or "I know a person I can connect you with," or "This is how I handled it. Have you tried XYZ?" And so, and like Maddie said, like also like we are great at uplifting others and coming up with ideas for others. We're really bad at celebrating ourselves. So it's one of those I kind of like put people on the spot and be like, "Yeah, I saw you had that win. I saw that job. That was amazing. You're growing so much." So, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, Ashley, she said when I asked her from saying nope, she's from Colorado Springs. She said rising tide is where I find my people, a place that makes me feel truly connected to my city and surrounded by creatives who understand, encourage, and grow alongside me. So I love that. Kayla, do you want to add what rising tide means to you? All of the above. Just check the all of the above boxes. I love that. Okay, do we have one more final question for all of our panelists, but I wanted to see if we had anyone who had a question in the chat for any of our panelists or the Rising Tide board members we have on here. You can unmute yourself or you can just drop it in the little chat box if you don't want to be on camera. Did we have any, Aaron, that I might have missed? Everybody's vibing today, Tuesday morning.
No, we have pretty quiet chat. I guess like one of the things I want to ask all of you is like, what made you, what makes you be like invite another friend to go to the meeting, especially if they're like new to networking? Because I remember when I first started my business, I was like, oh God, I got a network. It's like the most terrifying thing because I'm coming from corporate. So like for you all, like when you meet someone new, like how would you encourage people to try out Rising Tide?
That's a great question.
I'll jump in first here because I feel like our chapter in Chattanooga is still in kind of the baby phases right now. We're averaging like 10 people showing up per meeting. And so I feel like what me and the other leader that we've worked with has been helpful to do is just telling people like, hey, just come for just an opportunity just to meet other people in your industry, to have those connection builds. And I think that's been an interesting piece of like, oh, we have a lot of wedding photographers, videographers, things like that in our chapter. And it's been really helpful to other wedding vendors to say, all right, as many of you know, the wedding industry, it's very helpful to have those connections and especially locally. So I think that just telling them like, hey, there's people in your industry that are going to be there. And that's been really helpful for them to understand, because other networking events, if you go to your local chamber of commerce or things like that, it's a really wide variety of people, which is awesome because you can expand your reach there. But knowing that it's industry specific, or not always industry specific, but it's very helpful to know there'll be industry related people, has been helpful in being like, oh, okay, this is more my group of people. It just feels a little more settling, a little bit more less scary jumping into this group of such a wide variety of industries.
Love that.
Carolyn, I think I kind of approach it in a similar way. I also think we are hosting our events at places that feel better. Like Erin, I don't know, coming from a corporate world, you guys are used to like meetings and masterminds and like those things. And so I kind of say, hey, it's like, it really is a mastermind, but it's not on that intimidating scale. And we host these things at like really cool places. So it's like, oh, you wanted to try that local coffee shop, also owned by a small business owner, which then now that small business owner is seeing us meet, hearing us talk about different things. And we have like one of our members is called, their business name is Fairy Tale Pet Care. They were recently on Shark Tank, and they kind of are the ones that set up dog care at weddings, pet care at weddings. So like they come in, they pamper your dog, they bring your dog to your wedding, they dog sit, sometimes cat sit. They've had a couple of reptiles, all of that. Like they're seeing, oh wow, like okay, I own this coffee shop, I have a place here too. And so for me, I'm learning it's finding a way to relate to whomever it is that you're talking to, and just kind of like slip in like, here's a way of doing. Like just come with me. Like sit by me. I'll save you a seat here. Like you're welcome here. It's bringing down the intimidation factor and just making it more about like me and you. And then there's going to be other people in the room, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Erin, I can share. So I started my photography business in 2015, and I too thought, oh, there's all this competition out there. And then I found the Rising Tide group, and I was like, wait, we can all be friends and share and refer and learn from each other. And so when I moved from Mobile, Alabama to Birmingham, Alabama, I was like, I was so sad to leave that community that I had built and the baby stages of my business, and finding that here in Birmingham. And just like someone mentioned, it started as a photographer group, but I am just blown away by all the talent and all of the business owners we have in our chapter. The photographers are a small portion right now, which is so cool to see. Like plant store owners, coffee shop owners, artists, marketing, like it's just author, like poets, yoga teachers, like is everybody's in our group, and we can all learn from each other. And when I see those collaborations happening outside of our groups, it just makes my little heart like flutter, because I'm like a proud mama bear almost, but I'm like the same age, so I'm not a mama, but I'm an auntie or whatever. But it's yeah, you just got to put yourself out there, and like we've all said, is sharing the highs and the lows. Like you could be really having a really hard year, and then the next year when you celebrate at the holidays, party, it's like, this is my best year yet, and we get to celebrate with you because we've seen you through all those stages. So that's just my little 2 cents as a leader. All right, let's see. We had a great question about, is there chapters? Erin will drop in how to find your local chapter if you're tuning in or watching the replay and you're like, is there a chapter in my area? We have a directory on the Rising Tide Society website that you can find your local chapter and get connected. And we do also have these quarterly webinars that are coming up. And so just to wrap things up, if we don't have any more questions in the chat, I have one final question for all of our panelists. And that is, what's one action you hope attendees take after today's conversation? So we can go in our original order of introductions if you'd like. So Caroline, you can kick us off.
Yeah, I think the partnership piece has really stuck out to me, and even just talking about this has reminded myself in this conversation of what it looks like to reach out to someone in your industry and say, hey, are there ways we can partner? Are there gaps you're looking to fill, or are there gaps you're you're looking to fill in your own business, and how can you utilize their skill set and their network and kind of help them, but also how can you continue to build a momentum around your business. So I think continuing to have those partner conversation, who are 2 to 3 people you can reach out to and say, hey, this would be a great collaboration. We serve similar people, or I've seen a need in my business and would love to help them and serve them well through that too.
Perfect.
I think it would be good to just encourage everyone to find your own, like what community means to you in this. So if it means going to a meeting and if it's a little overwhelming, you just pick one person and that's who you stick to, or whether it's you decide you're going to speak at this and ask to lead a meeting, just find your own version of community because it's really important and it radically changes everything.
I think that your takeaway should be the question how you can make Rising Tides work for you both professionally and personally. I think a lot of times when you're attending things like this, especially in person, it's hard to go simply because of the fact that you can't see the reward besides maybe getting leads. But for example, personally, are you going to find a new friend? Did you have a connection with a person at a previous meeting and you want to kind of foster that more? Professionally, do you need a photographer for your business? Does one of your clients need an artist to work with? Do you like what do you need that you can really go to that doesn't necessarily track the dollars in your pocket, but it does help your business?
Yeah, and I would say, to go off of what Kayla said, is that it's not about one meeting. Like, we didn't grow our businesses overnight. You know, networking is just that first date to build into community, because ultimately community is the final goal. And I know in the Hartford chapter, we have a few people who are like core people that come, but then we have people who come and go because of life happening. And that's the great thing about Rising Tide, is it's like, come as you are, when you need it, however you need it. That if you're having personal struggles and your business isn't happening, come. But if you're like, no, I'm traveling a lot, it's busy, crazy wedding season, okay, we'll see you in November. We'll see you in December. We wish you all the luck. We'll keep following you. But there's no pressure. I would just say that encourage people that to keep coming, because every meeting is different. You never know what you're going to glean from a different speaker or making a new partner. So while we've all talked about great communities, like, again, you might not find that instant spark in on the first meeting. It might take 6 months to really like get your feet wet and get to know people, but just like you show up for your business, show up for your community, and that's where the magic then happens.
Yes, I love all the little head nods as everyone's speaking. Everybody's like, yes. Okay. So, no questions in the chat. Erin dropped all of our panelists' Instagrams. So make sure to go give them a follow, share what you learned today. Oh, Erin has her hand raised. Yes, ma'am.
I do see a question. I think, related to that thing, what's the one highlight from a recent meeting that made you think, yeah, this is what RTS is about? It might feel a little loaded. I mean, for me, it was when, like, I want to answer this in the sense of like, when people were like, oh, you don't have to be in the wedding industry to be part of the community. And that's like sometimes I think people think Rising Tide is about the wedding industry, but it's not, because there's so much more than just the wedding industry. And I see that everywhere. So I'd love to hear from the rest of you.
Yeah, I know a partnership that we've had in here in Hartford where we had 2 new members last fall. One was a lady in her late 60s, and she's very much like, I don't want to do weddings anymore. I want to do branding. And then we had a younger woman who specializes in marketing, but is building up her marketing business. Well, they have since partnered, and so that one of the marketing girl is again doing the SEO, doing all the content creation, and she's partnered with the photographer who's doing the branding. So now it's a one-stop shop for clients, and they are just killing it because they met at Rising Tide. They are opposite ends of experience, as far as age and where they're at in their careers, and they are just filling each other's weaknesses with each other's strengths. And like I said, they are killing it.
I love that. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, perfect. So, no further questions. Make sure you're following those people. All of our panelists, Caroline, Maddie, Kayla, and Virginia, thank you so much. And to everyone who joined us live today, we hope you walk away with inspired to lean into your community, make meaningful connections, and invest in relationships that will support your business and your heart. If you're not already plugged into your local chapter, be sure to check out risingtidesociety.com to get connected. And of course, we'll be back for more gatherings soon. As mentioned before, next month, June, we're celebrating our 10th birthday as Rising Tide Society. So all chapters should be meeting, or we're hoping that they all meet on Tuesday, June 10th. So make sure you check out with your chapters and see what's happening. Hopefully some cupcakes are involved. And we won't blow out candles. We might, who knows? But yes, so we're excited, and just remember that till then we rise by lifting everyone up. And so thank you so much for being a part of this community, and thank you again to our panelists. You're amazing, and keep making those waves in your community. And so we'll see you again next time. Bye, everyone.
Hey, Virginia, really quick. Oh, she hopped off. Dang. Okay.
You just catch her.
I think her and I know someone in common, so I'll catch her on social media.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Or you can hop on. I think her email is attached. I'll send a follow-up email. So
Awesome.
yeah, thank you again, Maddie.
Thanks, guys. Sorry I was late to the.
Right on time.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm ending the recording now. There's still people.